MTN SME Hub. Link to growth. Link to success. Link to the ultimate resource for business advice and insights.
Welcome to the Big Small Business Show, the show for all our wonderful entrepreneurs out there. And many of those entrepreneurs are professionals who run their own practices, their own small businesses, people like accountants, people like doctors, people like architects, professionals, you know what I mean. And in studio with us today, we've got somebody who's been on the show a few times. His name is George Diab. He's the founder and CEO of Gas Accounting. And he's going to be talking to us about the medical industry or medical practices, different types of medical practices, and how they have to act in a slightly different way to other types of businesses in order to ensure that they have long-term success. Welcome to the show.
Great to be back, Allon.
All right, so I've just given that intro. So what is different about a medical practice from a normal business?
So I actually asked myself the same question a couple of years ago, and my cousin came to me, and I thought he's a medical specialist, and he asked me to do his accounting and his books, and I thought, doctors, they make a lot of money, they buy fancy cars, live in beautiful houses. How hard can this be?
Yeah.
And the more I dived into doing his accounting, the more I realized that it's very specialized. It's like highly nuanced. And it's nuanced in the sense of they can practice under two different vehicles, as a sole proprietor or an incorporated.
Right.
Typically, they have very high levels of earnings, which puts them into high tax brackets. So you've got to be very smart with the way that you structure their taxes. There's also a lot of guidelines. So the HPCSA, which is the governing body for doctors, provide guidelines for how medical practitioners or healthcare providers should operate. So whatever you do and however you structure their business needs to be in line with the guidelines. And then to complicate matters even further, doctors take on personal liability. So how it works is for whatever services you provide, you need to be personally accountable for the quality of those services. And if anything goes wrong, you can get sued. So if you don't set up your business structure in the correct way, ultimately all the wealth that you accumulate over your career could be lost in a potential business or legal claim. So there's a lot that actually goes into setting up and working with medical professionals.
Okay, you mentioned the difference now between a sole prop and incorporated. Just what is the difference?
So it's a legal structure, right? If you're a sole proprietor, you're operating under your own personal name.
Yeah.
And if you decide to incorporate...
So Dr. Raiz, it's a sole prop.
Exactly. You don't have to register a company. It's quick and easy. It's probably the fastest way for you as a professional service provider or healthcare practitioner to start operating. There's nothing formal to set up. You're not registering anything. The only thing that you really have to do is go to the BHF and get a practice number so that you can be contracted into the medical aids. And then Bob's your uncle, you can start operating and trading. Now, why would a doctor then convert into an incorporated? And in our opinion, it's really just a tax decision. So doctors or sole proprietors are taxed anywhere between 18% to 45% on the sliding scale.
Yeah.
And that's how individuals are taxed, right?
Right.
But then corporates are taxed at a flat 27%.
Right.
So as soon as you start passing that 27% tax in your personal capacity, you should start considering whether to incorporate to register an Inc. To start trading through. Now, there's a very special requirement around an incorporated. It's not like a PTY. An incorporated is what they call in America a personal liability company. So the directors and shareholders are personally liable for whatever debts, whatever liabilities incur within that Inc. It doesn't protect you. It doesn't give you any type of amnesty. You can't just liquidate it and run away from your troubles if something goes wrong in that Inc. You stand personal surety and guarantee for everything. So why do it? It's a tax decision.
Okay, so why wouldn't you, if following on that logic, just create a PTY
Yeah.
and trade under the PTY?
So it's a great question, but this is where the HPCSA's guidelines come in. So the Health Professional Council doesn't allow you to trade as a PTY purely because they want doctors and practitioners to be responsible, to take ownership for the services they provide. They don't want them hiding behind this corporate entity or this vehicle in case something goes wrong. They want them to be fully accountable for their services.
And doctors that work at hospitals, would they fall under the same conditions?
Yeah.
Would they practice under, their own sole prop, or how do they practice?
So you get two types, right? You get doctors that are still in public, so they're still working for the government, and then doctors in private, so now they're in private practice. If you go to a Mediclinic or a Netcare, you're consulting with a doctor there, he's trading under his own personal practice number. But typically, if the doctor's in public, he's trading under the government's practice number or that hospital's practice number.
Okay, so I just want to touch on the risk part here, just so that I get a better sense. I'm sure there must be insurance that the medical practitioners take for malpractice suits and
Yes.
and the like.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of professional indemnity companies that sell insurance. Depending on your speciality, some insurances are lower, if it's low risk type of medicine. And like if you're a gynecologist or a neurosurgeon, it's really, really high risk. Some of them are paying up to R1 million a year in professional indemnity cover. So that does exist, and it's very important that they take it out. But in the same breath, you still want to protect your wealth in a different way. So if anything goes wrong, if for whatever reason there's some repudiation of that malpractice claim, you still probably want to set up your business in such a way that you're protecting your wealth, and that's quite easy to create through some type of a trust structure.
Okay. Let's talk about that after the break. Let's take a break now, and when we come back, we'll have deeper conversations about particularly the medical profession and how they need to be running their businesses. Stay tuned.
MTN SME Hub, link to business success.